what I'm about to do because this is going to be crazy. Like whether it turns out for the best or not, like 30 days to launch my business in a meaningful way that I'm actually making the difference that I set out to do. I mean, a year is a long time to semi commit to something, but to do it honestly hardcore for 30 days, I know I can do this, and I'm super excited to get started. Anyways, as you come in and if you want to just throw in a question, I would super appreciate any questions that come in. I'll answer them as I can. I'm watching chats on both the streams, so I can talk to people as I kind of share my story and get into what this 30 days is going to look like. In 5 minutes, I'm excited to get started. So if the one viewer out there wants to throw in a question, I would love to talk to you. Even maybe I might just coach people specifically on the live streams. If we have low people showing up, I'll just do a free coaching session because um, what I have decided is that I am all in on bringing people into their authentic selves. Like today, I heard a message, and it's like God was speaking directly into my heart and said that this is what I'm meant to be doing. It's what I was born to do. It's what I survived everything I've been through to be able to share for people. Um, so, like, let's hop into my story. I was a firefighter for 10 years. I got myself into a situation before that where I needed to provide for my family because I'd created one. I'd married a woman whom I love very much, and I started making children without any kind of plan as to who I was going to be and how I was going to take care of them. And I'd gotten to a place where I was working in a restaurant. Um, I was making very, very low income, and I needed to make a change so I'd be able to actually provide some sort of future for my family. My dad had been a firefighter before me, and he had retired a couple of years before, and he'd been pressing my entire life to get me to be a firefighter. Like, do it. It's a great job. It's a career, family. Take care of them. You'll have everything you want. Blah blah blah. Um, I was at my wits end, so I finally took him up on it. And when I did, I sacrificed everything I'd previously been, everything I'd known, everything I had to start this new journey. And I also dragged my wife with me to a new city that she'd never lived in, away from her family and her people. And I made her make that sacrifice because we didn't have a financial way. I, if I could go back and do it again, I wish I had talked to her more about the planning part of it. Um, we both just kind of got wrapped up in the process, and I got pulled along into a career that is it's not something that you reassess in a couple of years and decide to change, because once you start, the amount of yourself that you have to sacrifice is so intense that it's really hard to just like walk that back. You can't just say like, I know I've spent 6 months, breaking my body and learning these extensive skills, and also at that point, risking my life to do a thing. You and then just say like, forget it, I'm going to walk away. That's not how that worked for me. So once I learned the skill, once I started doing it, that was it. Like it was a wrap. I was going to be doing that forever because I found a way that was going to provide a reasonable life for my family, and if and a secure future. Like I thought I was future proof. I thought I had everything I needed forever. Um, then reality started to set in. They tell you for the first year it's going to be the worst year of your life. It's going to, you're going to have to sacrifice everything. You'll always be working, like always going, going, going. And then eventually people will start to accept you. Like if you do the work, they're gonna eventually accept you and start to bring you into the fold. And I was like, okay, so I worked as hard as I could for my first year. Then another year, second year passed, and I was still working harder than anybody else. Um, I'm not going to say, let me reassess that. Like, I worked very hard. I worked harder than other people were expected to work at that phase in their careers. And I was still being told things like, nobody cares what you says. So nobody cares what you say. Um, you're not paid to think, you're paid to do. Whenever I'd have ideas, I was told to stop trying to get out of work. Whenever I'd try to do something different, I would be told I was stupid or, well, I was like I am ADHD. It's something that defines part of who I am, but I didn't know at this time. This was around 2015, 2016, that being ADHD affected the way that you related to people in social situations, conversations, how you communicate, all these different things. I didn't know any of that. Whenever I was diagnosed in like 2005 or so, I was a college kid, and they just said, "Oh, yeah, this will definitely make it hard for you to show up to class on time, and you'll struggle to pay attention. So we're going to put you on some medication." And that's what I did, and that's all I knew. Um, Unfortunately, there's so much more to being an ADHD person than that. My first time chat was somebody pushing promotion of my viewers. Thanks, I appreciate that, but no, thank you. Um, so in the midst of all of that, like trying to fit in with this group of people, I started to shave more and more of who I showed up as, like to try to fit into this like puzzle piece of who I thought they wanted me to be liked, to no longer be told how stupid I am, how fat I am, um, how lazy I am, all these things. I just kept trying to dilute the parts of myself that I thought were unpalatable to them. So eventually, they'd start to be able to palate me, right? And what I found was that the more and more, like this is retrospective, of course, it was hard to see this at the time, was the more and more I diluted myself, the more and more they disliked me because I didn't have any foundation. I had nothing about myself that was real anymore because I just wanted to be liked so bad that I was willing to, literally change who I was based on the conversation I was having. Surprise, that is not an enjoyable person to be around. Um, Anyways, I still saw success in that job. I was able to promote to major, like on the fast track. I did really well. I promoted into public education and promoted there as well, and did really good at the job. I was very good at being a client facing person, but the same thing kept chasing me. I kept trying to dilute myself to be likable to these people I didn't understand. Um, it's something I coach about now is trying to live up to invisible expectations. It's impossible. And whenever you work with a group of people, like especially like the fire department where there's such a strong masculine and toxic culture, it's extremely hard um, to know what they want from you. Like you can ask, and they'll tell you things like you'll know when you know when you do it, or you'll figure it out, or whatever. And then so you start to write this dialogue in your own head. You start to fill in the blanks and tell yourself all the things you're doing wrong or that they think you're doing wrong by just making it up. And as you're trying to run around and meet all these different expectations that don't actually exist, you are becoming less and less focused on the things you need to be doing, one, and the things that are actually fulfilling yourself, two, and look, way out of your priority is things that are making you better. So I wasn't making myself better. I wasn't developing as a person at all, and I wasn't true to who I was anymore because I just wanted to be liked. I just wanted to go to work and not feel like I was going to be made fun of, or I was going to feel like an outcast, or I was going to feel like I was bad at my job, even though everything about my results told me I was good at my job. Like I could look at my results. I had projects that I had to do, and I had results from those projects. There was statistic and empirical evidence that told me I'm good. I'm good enough. I'm doing great. But because those people around me weren't telling me, I didn't believe it. I didn't believe I was good enough. And so that job made me feel exhausted. It made me feel so downtrodden and unloved, and to the point where I started to accept that as my reality, is that I didn't love myself. I wasn't worthy of love. And I got pretty down. I didn't realize it until it kind of came to a head, but I got so far down that um, I started to behave in ways that didn't align with my values or my beliefs at all. Not even close. Like just, becoming somebody that you don't recognize is, it's not the fastest process, but it happens in front of your eyes without you noticing. You're when you become focused on being something for somebody else, what you are for yourself stops being important, and until you make that important again, you don't realize how far from that you become. So eventually it came to a point where I was being put in a situation at this job where either I was going to have to, like, I had to leave. I had to, like, it was literally quit or get fired because I was being accused of something. Like, I was being accused of stealing something that I did not steal. And my choice to fight it would be take this through the judiciary process, which will take up to 2 years. And the entire time I would have been on record as being fired for um, stealing, uh, misappropriation of government property, insubordination, and a couple of other things that would make me completely unhireable in any field, pretty much whatsoever, because I was a massive risk to be around anything. So knowing that there's a possibility I wouldn't win because they'd already seen the proof that I had, which was a picture of the computer that they accused me of stealing in my home before the date they told me that it was given to me. That wasn't sufficient for them, and this was not going to be like, I wasn't going to go into LA law or Law and Order. I was going to be going into a a government adjudication. So there's no chance, or there's no guarantee that I was actually going to be tried fairly. So basically, my one choice was to get out. So I left. That was about a year ago, and um, it took me a while to wrap my head around the fact that the career that was supposed to provide me forever had thrown me under the bus. Getting past that point, I started to do a lot of self work, and started to see how far I'd gotten away from myself, and how much I'd let my non recognition of my ADHD affect my life. And when that all came to a pass, I realized that there was something really valuable in those lessons. Something like really, really valuable, because I know I'm not the only person with ADHD. I'm not the only person who's ever felt like they didn't belong. I'm not the only person who started to pretend to be somebody they weren't to try to get something that they would never be able to get. Even if they deserved it, even if they deserved much more than it, they were never going to be able to get it from these people by trying to be somebody else. These people aren't worth that much effort, by the way, but anybody deserves to be accepted for who they are. And what I learned is that it doesn't matter who accepts me if I accept myself. And if I can accept myself, as messed up as I was, as traumatized as I was from childhood, as traumatized as I was from that job, as emotionally defunct as I was from pushing my emotions down so deep to try to pretend to be something else for a lot of my life, if I can accept myself, then anybody can. I have been at the bottom of the barrel. I've been through the worst of it. And if I can accept myself, anybody can do it. They just might need help. Figuring that out, I decided to dedicate my life to helping those people. I started doing a podcast talking about it. I started to figure out what a business would look like of me coaching people to accept themselves. And, it took a long time to come to that. I wanted to, try to help people accept themselves and their content that they created, because I really love graphic design. I was like, I really want to do that, but it takes too long. It's too much. It was too much of a commitment. And as I look through that, and really tried to define what this thing I had to offer people was, I kept getting signs and messaging that I believe are from God, because it was just too specific, and it couldn't have been serendipity. There was no coincidence that I kept getting these very specific messagings. Like, obviously God wasn't talking directly to me, but things were happening in situations where, I'm doing all these things that are lining up to learn this part of it. And then all of a sudden, this opportunity comes along that's like the exact next step. And that happened again today, in which I started reading this book called The World's Greatest Salesman. And I'm doing this course about funnel building to try to help bring people to my message, because I know I've got something positive to share. But anyways, I'm reading this book, and a couple, like last week, I dropped the book behind my dresser, and I've just been too frazzled to pull the dresser out and get it back out, because I've got other stuff going on right now. And so in this course today, one of the speakers that was just really really hitting off with me said, so I've read over the like uh past 3 months, I read this book like 4 times over, because it's the best book I've ever read. It's called The World's Greatest Salesman. I was like, oh wow, I've been reading that book too. um, he said in the third scroll it says, and I was like, that's where I was like, that's I just finished reading this third scroll whenever I dropped the book behind the dresser. In the third scroll it says, uh, persist until you succeed. Like, think about that for a second. Persist until you succeed. Do not give up. This was the speech that the guy was giving immediately after I had just had a conversation with my wife, telling me, if you can't start producing an income through this in 30 days, you've got to go back to work. You've got to get a real job. And that conversation was really tough for me. It's really, really tough, because I want to figure this out. I want to make it work. I need to make it work, because I know that what I've got to offer this world is valuable. I know that I can help people. I'm coaching one person right now, and the work we do together, I believe, is so important that anybody who specifically is ADHD and struggles with showing up as themselves, I know that they need help, and I know that I can help them. I just know it. Like, I know it, but I have to get to them. I have to get to them. And so that's what I'm focused on trying to do right now. Like, I decided to start going live, um, because I know that if I can build a following and start getting my message out there, those people who need to hear it are going to find me, and they're going to need my help. Like, God has told me more than one time in more than one way that I need to help these people. Like, it makes me emotional, because I have been in the darkest depths that many people have ever seen in their lives, because of this exact reason. Because of being an ADHD person who didn't know how to show up as themselves and didn't know what to do next. I didn't know what to do. I don't want everybody in this situation to have to go through a point where they have to completely destroy their fucking lives to get to the point where they're ready to make a change. I want them to get there before that. I want them to get to the point where they wake up and they can see that the person that they are and the person that they are being aren't the same person. They're not the same person. Like, I don't know how to explain that to somebody who doesn't struggle with this, because if you don't struggle with it, then you'll never understand. Like, if you are in that place where you are acting in a way that betrays everything in who you are, who you and your mind, heart, and soul are supposed to be, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like you are, you know that I'm talking to you. You feel it, and you're gonna say, "How do I stop?" For me, it was a it was a process. I'm not gonna pretend like it was the easiest thing that I've ever done. Oh, you just stop acting like you're okay. That was part of it. Starting that process of stopping to like end the pretend game. That was the first part, and it was easy-ish, but it would have been so much easier if I had somebody to say, "Hey, I'm here to support you. Let me help you take these steps to re-engage with your life as who you really are." I think back at how much of myself I could have saved if I could have coached myself. If I could have gone back 5 years and talked to me whenever I was shrinking myself every single day just to walk through the front door at work. And I would just be so on edge and anxious and depressed, and all the bad emotions were just at the surface all day long for 24 hours, because that's how long a shift was at the fire station, until I left. And then some of those went away, but I still felt them, and would be in recovery from those emotions for the next 12 hours. And if I would have had somebody who could tell me, "Stop pretending to be someone you're not, here's how to handle it instead," whatever the situation was, it would have changed my life. I might have been able to actually make it to 10 years at the fire department and actually be vested in my pension and have been able to take something out of that job to provide for my future. I got a lot of skills, I got a lot of experience. Hopefully, if this doesn't work out, I have a great resume that's going to say, "This guy learned a lot at the fire department and he did a lot of great things, so you should hire him." But the thing that's going to remain the same is I still feel called to be helping the people who are like me and who are hurting. I feel a social obligation to help the people who are feeling like I was 2 years ago, because there was nobody to help me. There was nobody I knew of who could say there's a better way. So if I had heard what I'm saying right now 2, 5, 10 years ago, I would have jumped all over it. I would have said, "Oh, this guy is talking directly to me, and I want to hear more of it. I want more of it. How can I get more?" And I would have told him, like, we can coach together, or I'm going to start building out courses. I'm going to offer some digital products, but if you need help right now, let's get together on a coaching like, let's do a consultation. Let me help you, right? Like, let's immediately try to get you some relief. Day one, like day one. I think that my current client would tell you that day one, we were able to remove some of the pressure that has been bearing down on him for years. Did we fix him? No. The problem is he doesn't need to be fixed. We don't need to be fixed. We need to be loved. Everybody deserves to be loved where they are right now. You don't need to be somebody else to deserve love. Who you are right now deserves love. So I wasn't sure exactly where I was going to go today, but it's almost been 30 minutes. And what I want to share in the end is I'm going to drop a couple links, and I'm going to repurpose all this to share in different formats. But the really important thing to me is that I start to get my voice out there. Like the 30 days is, to me, it's an incentive. Like, because I really want this to be what I'm able to focus all my time on. Like, I want to be in this for the rest of my life doing it all the time because I feel like I've got so much to offer. But if in 30 days I haven't made it to where I'm able to financially sustain that way, I'm going to have to go back to work and I'm going to have to like stop spending so much time on it. And that sucks. Like, I appreciate that that sucks. Like, self awareness is a really big part of my platform. And I'm aware that I don't want to go back to work for somebody else, but like, I've got my core foundational values and beliefs. And at the number one, very tip top of that list is providing for my family. Like, it's a non-negotiable, and it's come to a point where the money is running out, and if I don't do something now, then I will fail at my number one priority in life. I will have failed myself, I will have failed my wife, and I will have failed my children, and that is not acceptable. So at that point, and this is something that I talk about in my coaching sessions, is that you have to be able to look at what are your core values and beliefs, and when is it time to make a change on how you follow through with those. My number one core value and belief is providing for my family. My second core value and belief is that I believe in myself, that I have the tools and the capability to provide for my family myself by doing something that is free of manipulation from somebody else telling me how I need to do it. But if I can't do number one by doing it the number two way, then I have to just focus on number one because that's the ultimate priority. The second part is really important to me, but I've had a freaking year and I've been doing it wrong. I've wasted a lot of time. I've had a lot of self doubt. I've had a lot of um, distractions. I've had a lot of reiterations of the program. I've done a lot of things that didn't support building the right business. I've done things that supported building a business. I've been working for a year to build this business, but it's not built in a way that is serving my family yet. So 30 days. Today is November 2nd. I've got till January 1st to make it happen, or else I have to start spending the majority of my time providing for my family a different way. Like, I don't know. I believe in myself. I think I know I can get this done if I stay singularly focused on the my main priority is providing for my family, doing it my way, and also, I mean, I have to keep in mind I still have to be a father. I still have to help homeschool my kids. Like, so I have other responsibilities. But whenever I'm working, if I'm working towards pushing the message that I have out to the people who need to hear it, I believe 1000% that I can make this happen because I know that if I was listening, I needed this. And if I would have called me, I would have found a way for us to work together. I would have made it happen. And that's me as a coach meeting someone who doesn't have exactly what I asked for financially in a place that they need right now because I know what it feels like to be that low. And I know also me back then, I would have made a financial commitment because I was so lost. And I know for a fact, people who pay attention. Like, I completely understand that. So I back then even would have said, man, I need to hear this. I need to be beholden to this. I need some sort of some sort of something to help keep me dedicated to this. And I know that I would have said, yeah, I'm gonna sign up for this coaching session because this is what I need to hear. Like, I there's so many different um, people out there coaching for women and for just people who are ADHD. Like, I'm not going to tell you how to be ADHD. Like, it's different for everybody. But I needed somebody to tell me you you're ADHD, but you still deserve to love yourself. And that's what I want to share with people is that you can be ADHD, you can be the most absent-minded person in the world, but you still deserve love and there are techniques and strategies to help you embrace who you are and face the world as yourself that I can teach you that can help right now. Let me help you right now. Don't wait. All right, so that's it for today's session. I'm gonna start. I think I'll start trying to go live every day. I don't think it'll be this long. Some days will be just 10 minutes. Like, I don't know. Maybe I should do 9 a.m. every day, like 9 a.m. Central every day, going live. Let's do. Let's rephrase that. Either 9 a.m. Central or 7 p.m. Central. No, that's not fair. 6 p.m. Central. I think I can do that. Let's think of my schedule. Yeah, I'm gonna start going live at 6 p.m. every day. Let's do that instead because who's gonna be up at 9 a.m. who wants to watch me? We're ADHD people. We have trouble getting up early in the mornings, or you know, getting to sleep late enough to where we're not still up. But anybody who sees this, you happen upon it, I hope that you enjoy or get some value out of what I'm providing because like I really mean it. Like I do believe that this is absolutely what I'm meant to do, and I'm going to keep pouring into it. And I think it's going to happen. All right. So as to I say at the end of my podcast every week, be yourself and love yourself. Bye, everybody. I'm going to drop these links in the chat before I hop off. All right. And so this is for the Twitch audience. These are all linked. These links on the Facebook post. You can just click them, but I'm dropping these links in the chat for anybody on Twitch who sees this, which I hope they do. Like, I hope it gets out there. Good night.